characteristics of the context in which a firm operates is an important factor. Entrepreneurs from emerging and developing economies encounter a different set of challenges and constraints with respect to internationalization of their business activities compared with those from developed countries. Internationalization of companies in emerging economies like China, for example, is initiated by institutional pressure in their home country, while motivations underlying internationalization of entrepreneurial ventures from developing or less developed countries are likely to be survival. Whatever their pushing motivation is, companies have to make some basic decisions before attempting the international journey. That is, where, when, and how. The first decision is the location choice. What is the market to address? Some countries present indeed larger opportunities than others, for example, because of the large number of potential consumers or because consumers are richer. Other countries are instead smaller, poorer, and it may not be profitable to enter. Thus, the firm needs to assess the long-run profit potential of each market. As in any investment decision, the company proceeds maximizing the profit, that is the difference between total revenues and cost on the invested capital. In order to assess the attractiveness of a country, either in absolute terms or relative to other countries, the company needs to undertake a so-called country attractiveness analysis, a framework that takes into account market and competitive opportunities on the one hand and risk on the other hand. The assessment of the international context raises several challenging issues. Economic, political, social, demographic, cultural factors do play a key role. These factors are relevant not only per se. In fact, the foreign country may be rather similar or instead significantly different from the domestic one, and cultural differences or institutional differences may hinder, discourage, or even kill the company's initiative in a foreign market. The second decision is the timing, that is, when entering the foreign market. The key question is, would it be better an early entry before other competitors arrive, or a late entry when other firms have already entered in the foreign country? Both the cases have advantages and disadvantages. First movers have to sustain pioneering cost, for example, associated to the need of promoting and establishing a product offering, including the education of customers. However, they obviously take advantages related to the possibility to preempt the rivals and establish the brand before the others. Finally, the company should decide how to enter a foreign market: exports, licensing or franchising to local companies, joint venture with local firms, or wholly owned subsidiaries in the foreign countries. These alternatives require a different level of commitment and therefore of risk. Lower commitment limits the firm's exposure and allows the firm to learn gradually how to play in the foreign market. If there are no competitors, this is probably the best way for going abroad. However, this is not always the case. Thus, let's see what are the main alternatives to enter a foreign market, ranked by increasing level of commitment. Exporting is often the first method firms use to enter and try a foreign market. This is rather attractive because it is the fastest way to get the product into foreign markets. It requires lower commitment of resources. It allows firms to exploit economies of scale and reduce costs at home. However, whenever transport costs are high, tariff and non-tariff barriers are high, the product can be manufactured in low-cost locations, or foreign agents fail to act in the exporter's best interest, then exporting may not be so attractive any longer. Licensing and franchising are contractual agreements. They consist in arrangements where the company grants the right to use a product, a process, or a brand to another entity for a given time period in return of a royalty fee. Advantages of this entry mode are low development cost and low risk in overseas expansion. But on the other hand, the company has low control over technology and markets. Joint ventures and alliances imply the sharing of capabilities between two or more firms, with the aim of enhancing their competitive advantages by creating new businesses without losing their respective strategic autonomy. The last mode of entry into a foreign market is a subsidiary. It reduces the risk of losing control over core competencies and allows tight control over the foreign operation. However, this is costly, as the company bears the full cost and full risk of setting up the operation overseas. When this is the case, the company may decide to establish the subsidiary from scratch, that is a Greenfield initiative, or instead to acquire an established firm in the foreign market. Going abroad with a partner instead of going alone may be obviously an attractive alternative, as cost and risk are shared with the partner. Additionally, when the partner is a local company, she has better knowledge of the host country's competitive conditions, culture, language, political systems, business networks, and so on. However, working together also means possible conflicts and battles for control if goals and objectives differ or change over time, and sharing profits. Greenfield Ventures allow the company to build the kind of subsidiary she wants. However, they take time, and that can be problematic when competition is high. Acquisitions are quicker to execute and may enable firms to get rid of competitors. However, they might be very expensive. There might be a clash between cultures, and realizing synergies may take much longer than forecast. Additionally, inadequate and costly pre-acquisition screening or due diligence is absolutely needed. Did you know that about 70% of acquisitions fail? To conclude, foreign markets are more difficult, uncertain, and riskier than domestic markets. However, remember that the sequence of decisions is not fixed, and some or all of them may be simultaneous. There are no right or wrong decisions, but just decisions that are associated to different levels of risk and rewards. Subjectivity and individual characteristics of the entrepreneur may well make a difference.